and a week to look forward to. Right now, joining us, great stories to cover in the Houston area. None better than C.J. Stroud and being in the actual MVP conversation for the Houston Texans. Sean has his award-winning morning show each and every day, Monday through Friday, right down there. And then he joins us minutes later. Good morning, Sean. How are you?
I'm doing well, guys. Thanks for having me on. Hope you're well as well.
Your Thanksgiving all good, I assume? You got fat, all the good stuff?
Yeah, it was awesome, man. It's my favorite holiday, and it's nice. Family, friends, and good food. So it was awesome. Thank you. And good football.
Yeah, good football. Also, we got to ask you before we get into the NFL, Sean, are you excited for the NBA Cup?
Well, the NBA, are we talking about this in-season playoff that nobody understands why? And do you mean the pandering to fans and seeing if they can steal them during football and that it makes zero sense and most people don't understand why and it's desperate? Yeah. But, other than that, I guess, hey, great. It to me, well, if you're not giving me a team that wins the in-season tournament an automatic berth into the top 10, why? I don't know. I guess just because we're calling it an in-season playoff. I'm pumped up for it, dude. I can't wait.
Well, something I know you're pumped up for, we are too, is this weekend's matchup with the 49ers and the Eagles. You've told us all year long what you've thought about the 49ers. I want to get your thoughts, Sean, about the Eagles. Look, they keep winning, and there's something about winning close games that's a testament to the team, but they open up actually as underdogs. Small underdogs in this one, but what do you think? What are your early thoughts on this Eagles-49ers matchup?
Well, I think two of the three top candidates for the MVP reside in the game. Matter of fact, three of the top five probably. I don't know how we can leave McCaffrey off the list. Jalen Hurts and Brock Purdy. I still am mesmerized by the lack of love that Purdy gets. That if he was drafted where C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young, where we'd be talking about the future franchise guy, we'd be raving about him. His numbers say poise. His numbers say he belongs in the talk. He's been great. Pretty, except for a couple of mistakes that people make.
Dude, come on. Usually it comes right back.
Yeah. I think we lost Sean.
We lost Sean. Let's see if we can get him back. Usually comes back.
Yeah, there's usually better.
I couldn't go back.
No, Siri. Siri, what happened to Sean Salisbury?
Here's what I found.
Okay, great bit.
We'll get him back.
Usually, we'll get him right back. He usually goes into it. But I like what he said, and it's funny. When he said two of the top three or whatever MVP candidates, 3 of 5, I was actually going, I wonder who he's going to, I wonder which one.
Yeah. I think McCaffrey definitely needs to be in there.
I totally agree. Hey, Sean, you know you usually go through that one spot. It usually comes back, but the antennas weren't working for us today, so you got cut off. Right. Go ahead, buddy.
I don't know why I'm in the same spot I am all week.
Right.
Every time I'm with you guys. But regardless, McCaffrey, I heard you guys say McCaffrey should be in the MVP conversation. Mm-hmm. If he's not, right now, he and Tyreek Hill is the two non-quarterbacks that should be in the MVP conversation. And both, I think one of the two is going to win Offensive Player of the Year if it's not a quarterback. So this is a phenomenal matchup. NFC Championship matchup is who I called in the preseason, who I liked. And I think both these teams are still the two best teams. And I love the poise of Philadelphia guys. And you had mentioned, leading into this about how they just find ways to win. Both rosters are skilled. Jalen Hurts, to me, is as poised as we have in the league of any player. I didn't say the best, but he's as poised as it gets. And I think there's a believability in him that when they have the ball last, that he's just going to find a way to get it done. And he does. And they're such a threat physically and finesse, which I love. And yet the 49ers, when their roster's healthy, their line pushed 2 offensive lines that can move the pile. There's very similar when it comes to home run hitters, defensive disruptors in the front 7, MVP and smart, poised, good decision-making quarterbacks, and both well coached. So what's not to like? Health is important. I think this is one hell of a matchup. We will see this one again in the postseason at some point. The 49ers, depending on the weather, and I think the 49ers are poised to go on the road and deal with this. This is going to be fun, and what a 3 weeks it's been for Philadelphia to have to deal with their tough opponents, and they've stepped up. this is going to be a great game. I think this is a game in the 20s, and somebody's defense is going to get a stop at the right time.
Sean Salisbury with us. Got to ask you, and we'll get right back to Eagles-Niners. But I want to ask you about the Eagles' opponent, something we've been talking about this week, the Buffalo Bills. It looks like they very well could miss the playoffs, Sean. If they do, they're probably, I would say, easily the most talented team to miss the playoffs, the biggest disappointment this year. So I want to ask you what a lot of the talking heads are talking about. Is McDermott possibly in trouble? And the whole, do we need to have, air quotes here, do we need to have a conversation about Josh Allen at some point?
Oh, I think both are viable. We automatically think that to be let me start with Josh Allen, to be a franchise quarterback, it means you got to win multiple Super Bowls. If that's the case, then we're real limited on franchise quarterbacks. Josh Allen's a great talent. The problem is you can't throw 13 interceptions halfway through the season, a little more with 2/3 of the way through the season, throw 13 interceptions. Those are just, his mistakes come at the wrong time. He is so gifted physically and he's a smart, high IQ guy. But the aggressiveness sometimes gets him in trouble, and the one pick or the red zone interception come at times when they just can't happen. So is he an elite player? Yes. Is he a franchise quarterback? Yes. Is there a chance he's the type of guy that goes his whole career without a Super Bowl win? Yes. Because of the timing of his turnovers. And that's a team that could miss the playoffs. And then also, if they get in, they're good enough to run the gamut and win the whole thing. That's how gifted they are. But he's got as good a player as he is. The great ones don't throw 13 picks or 16 picks, and don't throw red zone picks as he did last year. And the turnovers that put him in a bind. I love the player, but he's got to be a better decision maker at the right. You don't have to be aggressive and hit home runs and be a hero all the time. So that's one. And McDermott, yes, anytime you start firing coaches during the season, and, with Leslie Frazier last year, who decided to take the year off, and you're calling defenses, and now you get rid of your coordinator. Yeah, and this is one of those teams that you keep getting there, but it keeps underachieving when you get to the postseason. Yes, a talented team. If they don't get in, they're going to visit that. And if they do get in and an early elimination, which is going to be tough, then you have to at least look at it and say, have we hit our ceiling with quarterback and head coach? Both are really good. Josh Allen's a great player, but you cannot turn the ball over. And at those times, the great ones just don't on a consistent basis. But if you're talking gifts, he's got as many. I just don't think Buffalo, there's something missing when it comes to the clutch gene as a team when it's that time that Kansas City to have.
Talking with Sean Salisbury here on the Folsom Lake Honda Hotline. Sean, as far as Sunday for the Niners and Eagles, who needs this game more? Who's it more important for?
The 49ers, because the Eagles, they're now, I understand the cycle. I don't think there's anything psychologically that you're going to affect the Eagles this week. If you lose Philadelphia at home, after the late afternoon game, if you lose at home, you're still 9-2. You are still the lead dog for home field advantage throughout. I know the Cowboys lurk, but you'll convince yourself that, hey, aberration, because I think their mental toughness can handle the loss. And so can their record, quite frankly, because if they lose 2 of their next 6, they're still going to have home field advantage throughout the playoffs if they get to 14-3. Okay, that's going to get them home field advantage. So for the 49ers with 3 losses, and there's been some inconsistency at times. While I think they're still I had them going to the Super Bowl. I think when healthy, they can play snap for snap. I don't think they have to take a backseat to Philly. I just think with what's happened in the past recently, getting to the Super Bowl, it's new quarterback, your 7th round pick is playing quarterback. We're hoping we're healthy. I think that there's this twinge of, are we where we need to be at as 40s? I think they are, but I think that would be, it's a proof to go on the road in the most hostile environment they'll face the entire year, go on the road and win would bode huge for the 49ers. I think Philadelphia can handle the loss. 2 losses sounds a lot better than 4, even though it's at home. And a road victory against the best team in football sounds a lot bigger to San Francisco. I think the loss, the Eagles can build in the mental toughness, they can handle it excuse. But I think on the good side, it's a much bigger win for the 49ers than it is Philadelphia. Although, how can we state that? It's a huge win because I think they know they're going to see the 49ers again. but I think Philadelphia, with their record, can handle the loss. And I think the elevation of the win would be huge for the 49ers and their fan base. And quite frankly, their psyche in the building, because the last time they visited there, they were without quarterback. He got hurt, and it wasn't real pretty. And there's a bone to pick, but I think that we'll see this again, and we'll probably see it at the same stadium later in the year.
Last thing for you real quick, Sean. I am just curious. Is there any stopping? Is it possible to stop the brotherly shove? And is this going to end up being Fridge Perry, the Wildcat? Or is it here to stay?
Well, if it was as easy as everybody makes it, I don't see everybody execute it like that team. They perfected it. I mean, they do. Listen, the injury. I'll tell you when it ends, Dave. Dan, make it simple. Is if a player down there shreds a knee or blows out an ankle, and if it's a star player, that's when they'll say, "Oh, let's revisit it." But right now, Philadelphia doesn't want teams like it, and if the rule states it, I'd run it from the 3-yard line. So I think it's dangerous, but I also know that we've got so much going on in football with minimizing the physicality of football. If nobody's getting hurt and they can execute it, find a way to stop them. Isn't that what we always say? And right now, nobody seems to be able to do it when they're inside that red zone, inside the 5.
That's Sean Salisbury each and every Tuesday. Brother, we're going to have a lot to talk about next week. I am so stoked. I can't wait. Have a great rest of your week. Congratulations on that rookie quarterback out there. That's got to be a hell of a story to cover. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, bud. Appreciate it. Look forward to it.
All right, take care. That's Sean Salisbury. We're late for a break. When we come back, 4 down territory before we get to who's hot, who's not.